Welcome to Your Wise Self with Sara, the podcast that invites you to embark on a journey of self-discovery, growth, and transformation. Thank you for joining me, Sara, as I explore the profound wisdom within each of us, waiting to be uncovered and embraced. Today, I'm sharing a personal story from my recent travels to Costa Rica. Most people would say that they lost their luggage when it didn't arrive at their destination. Well, in my case, I gave mine away. Yes, you heard that right. Here is the story of what happened, the lessons learned, and how it all ties into the theme of surrender. So, to provide a little backstory, this vacation was literally 4 years in the making. My best friend from yoga therapy school, Heather, and I had planned this trip to Costa Rica in January of 2021, and I got COVID. Each year since then, life just got in the way between work for her and school for me. And finally, in the last year, we committed that we were going to make this work. We were going to take this trip to Costa Rica. So we were planning and packing and so excited and anticipating this long-awaited vacation. We arrived to January 3rd at 3:30 in the morning. As I was preparing to leave for the airport, Heather texted me a cute little palm tree emoji to signal that she was awake and ready to head to the airport as well. She was leaving from Baltimore. Within minutes of that cute little emoji text, I got a panic text from her that her dog had escaped while she was walking out the door to load up her luggage into the Uber. All I could think is, we didn't come this far in planning this trip for this to be our bump in the road. I was telling her, which was easy for me to say, of course, deep breaths, deep breaths. Who can help? The phone went silent for a while, and about 15 minutes later, she sent an update that her neighbor had come out to help and she was in the Uber. Phew, crisis averted. So by this time, I was now at the airport in line to check my bag for the 5 a.m. flight. Note to self, lesson 1, do not fly at 5 a.m. A friend of mine from Iowa, Tara, was also on that first flight. And then they were headed to the other airport in Costa Rica called San Jose. And I was going to the Liberia airport in Costa Rica. So to give you a little perspective, the airports are about 3 hours apart from each other, and I was taking a 2-hour shuttle to my final destination, and Tara and her group were going to travel about 3 hours further south from that airport, making the distance between us while we were there about 7 hours. We had already figured this out because we had considered trying to meet up while we were there, but it just simply was too far away from each other. So here we are in the airport. I was just a few people behind Tara and her family and some of their friends in their group. We thought we had gotten there in plenty of time since the airport doesn't open till 3:45. They had gotten there at 3:30, me at about 3:45, and we were unable to print up whatever it was we needed to print up on the kiosk. We were checked into our flights, but there was something with the baggage that we needed to print up. So at about 4 a.m. or a little after, the airline representative is walking down the line and says to everybody in line, we're going to have to rebook you on another flight. We can't get your bags on this flight. I believe that that is a rule with international travel that you can't check your bag within an hour of departure. So in the moment, I could feel that panic starting to rise up in me. What? This can't be happening. I have no idea what rebooking this flight means. Does that mean 1 hour, 12 hours, 24 hours? And about that moment, someone from Tara's group says, hey, give me all your luggage. She was military and therefore she could check extra bags. In my panic, I threw my luggage in with theirs, and just like that, I had now made my flight. Second crisis averted. Until just a little later, Tara's daughter says to me, so won't your bag go to San Jose? Well, yeah, I suppose that is what will happen, but I was kind of thinking I could intercept it in Dallas was my hope. So from there, we proceeded to work with the airline in Dallas and then they also in San Jose, which they were unable to get my bag regardless of all the attempts. So Tara called me when they landed in San Jose and said, "What do you want me to do?" They could leave my luggage at the airport, but that would still take hours, basically almost a full day of travel for me to go to the airport 3 hours away, pick it up. Who knows where it would be at when I got there. So I asked her, "Do you mind just keeping it for me with you? And then you can just bring it back to Iowa at the end of the trip?" And she said, "Of course." And along my many times of thanking her, she always replied, "That's what friends are for." Thank you, Tara, for all of your help in this whole debacle. So, what went wrong? My carefully curated items, my travel comforts, everything was suddenly out of reach. And oddly, in that moment of not really being able to do anything, panic just left me, and all that remained was peace. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong at that moment, I decided to shift my focus to what went right. And honestly, a lot did go right. I was in Costa Rica. Heather and I met within minutes of us both landing, and I had a carry-on bag. So, what went right? Preparation definitely paid off. While I didn't prepare for this exact scenario, I had packed essentials in my carry-on that kept me going. That little bit of preparation definitely mattered. I now know how to pack a carry-on for next time. Perhaps a carry-on for every time now that I know I can do it. I had support. I was traveling with a really good female friend who graciously shared all the things with me. In fact, we oftentimes would share a room at yoga therapy school when we were there it was a hybrid program. So we were there for long weekends. So oftentimes she and I did a lot of sharing of each other's items in school anyways. So I leaned in on her kindness and generosity, which of course is always a humbling experience to say, "Hey, can I borrow your deodorant?" Thank you, Heather. It meant the world to me to be traveling with you and to have access to all the things that you had packed. We were definitely living yoga at this point. So, as yoga therapy sisters, we talked a lot about living yoga during this trip. This experience became a practice in mindfulness, letting go, and finding presence in the midst of what felt like chaos at a few points. And that mindset really matters. 10 years ago, I probably would have reacted pretty differently. I probably would have been pretty stressed out. But today, in that moment, I felt like I've been practicing for this for the last 10 years. It was an opportunity to apply everything I've been learning about surrender and trust and just living that yoga mindset. So the 5 lessons that I learned that I wanted to share with you today are: first, just as I mentioned, mindset matters. The way we choose to view a situation changes everything. So when I shifted my perspective to gratitude and the fact that I was going to be okay, the experience transformed for me. I also learned, number 2, that less is best. Losing my luggage reminded me how little we truly need. It's easy to overpack, not just with clothes, but with expectations, worries, and fears. So stripping away the excess helps us focus on what truly matters. The third lesson for me was to go with the flow. Plans can go awry, but life goes on. This experience taught me the power of adaptability and embracing the unexpected. Number 4, trust what is happening for me, not to me. This became my mantra. Instead of feeling like a victim in this situation, I saw it as a lesson. What if this moment was happening for me? What if it was an opportunity to grow and learn from it? And lastly, asking for help and relying on others. Vulnerability can be definitely an area that's difficult for me. It's hard for me to ask for help. And yet, vulnerability is a strength. In this scenario, I had to ask for help. Leaning on others created a sense of connection and community that made the experience that much richer. So here's the rest of the story. You heard about the first half of the trip. The vacation was amazing. Absolutely love Costa Rica. Would definitely go back despite some of the troubles that we had. Then on the way home, we also had a snowstorm happening back in the US. I had my first flight through Dallas cancel on Thursday. And then I ended up getting on Heather's flight through Atlanta the next day. And we got to the airport and that was canceled. So Heather and I joked about that. We're like, we were wanting to explore, coming back to Costa Rica and going to other areas, but we didn't realize it would be this soon. We ended up staying that night in a resort about 30 minutes from the airport. It was much different than the resort we stayed at in Tamarindo. In the moment, we were grateful that we were together. We had carved out a plan and we were staying in another beautiful resort watching the sunset. I had then also booked 2 more flights to get out of there the next day because now my flight through Charlotte was showing a weather advisory. So I luckily had Southwest points and I was able to book a flight also with Heather back to Baltimore because I was like, hey, if this flight through Charlotte cancels, then I have a final plan here that I can at least leave and not be stuck in Costa Rica. We were talking to people that were stuck until Monday, and I certainly did not want to be there by myself. So the good news is that I was able to get on the flight through Charlotte and then even saw some friendly Iowa faces on the flight from Charlotte to Des Moines. But it doesn't quite end there. So Tara and her group were on their scheduled flight, which ours was late, but theirs was on time. And they were landing just an hour and a half after me. I thought about waiting for them to get my luggage, but I desperately wanted to get home and to my dog, of course. So on my drive home, Tara calls me and says, "You won't believe this. Your bag didn't make it here with ours." I literally thought she was kidding. I mean, she had to be. She said, "I wish I was kidding, Sarah." So after filing a claim, my bag finally showed up at my door at 6 p.m. the next day. Needless to say, I was a little excited to open up my bag after 12 days to remind myself of what exactly I had packed. So again, going back to this theme of surrender, this trip became a lesson in surrendering control. We like to think that we can plan for everything, but life loves to throw curveballs every now and then. Letting go and seeing how things work out is a skill. And really, it was quite freeing. I've realized that surrendering doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting that I have everything I need. It's about letting go of resistance and stepping into flow. I also want to mention that during this time, the devastating California wildfires were happening, which also gave me incredible perspective. I can live without my stuff for a week. I can live out of a backpack for a week. These people were losing absolutely everything. It definitely gave me perspective. So mindset for 2025. This experience left me with the motto, what is happening for me? I'm taking that mindset into this new year, a year of trusting, surrendering, and growing. So I'll leave you with this question. What is your mindset going into 2025? How can you see life as happening for you instead of to you? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're willing to send me an email, I would love to hear from you. My email is sarah@yourwiseselfwithsarah.com. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Your Wise Self with Sarah. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need a reminder to surrender and trust. And as always, take care of yourself and lean into your wise self.